So yeah, so before being like just like encountering the Lord, my life was actually like very stale, honestly, like very numbing. I was all like God was always like a part of my life. I grew Catholic, and my parents like took me to church like every day. You know, like my mom would take me to adoration every day, like all the way up until I was like going to school, and like during spring break, like we'd be going to like daily mass, we'd be going to like all these things, and like, but it just always felt like pressured on me, and it felt like it was never authentic. And like although like I was still like practicing and like I was like following the commandments and doing all these things, like it's never felt authentic for me. It just always felt like it was something I was doing out of obligation, and like it just felt like one-sided love, that like God was giving me this love but like I wasn't receiving it or reciprocating it at all. Yeah, I think this happened like for like 18 years. So basically my entire life was like that. Like again, like I said, it was like one-sided love. Like I did feel like God like every now and then, like I would like feel him in prayer, like I'd pray to him and everything. It just like felt like my like something was like restraining me from something. And then it wasn't until like summer of my senior year in high school where I was like going through like a really difficult time in my life, and like I was like just like at the most absolute lowest point ever that I've like been in my life. And I was just like in daily mass, like I would always be in like with my mom, and I was like listening to the readings, and it was I believe it was Genesis 5:15, the story where Abraham like takes a nap, and then God tells him like look up at the stars in the sky and then count the stars if you can see them. And Abraham's like, well, it's like inferred that like it's daytime actually, so you can't see the stars. And so God's like, the amount of stars you can see in the sky is like that's how many descendants you're gonna have. Like the way you can't see the stars is like the way you can't see what I can see. And like so like God can like see like God can see the things that we can't see. And so I was in that moment, I felt like a voice in my heart saying that like everything I've ever gone through in my life has led up to this moment, and I'm going through this for a reason. And at that moment, I decided, like I was like, I surrendered to the Lord, because I was like at that low point. I was like, I got nothing left. Like I need you, God. And that's like when I really just like had that 180 of just like there was like so much love that like God had for me, and like I was like finally like able to like receive it. So my priest back home, his name is Father Billy. He's like apparently like really well known. I didn't know that. He's like he knows Father Matt and everything, and he was like they're like I guess tight. I guess I don't know. They're friends, I guess. So he was like, so there's this church at the at like near NAU. It's called like the Newman Center, and like they do a lot of like things like for college students and everything. I think like you should really go. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And so I remember like when I first came up here to NAU. It was like my first day back from like the first day like official day that I like was like staying here. It was a Saturday morning, and I was like looking at the mass times, and I was like I saw that the mass was at 11:30, and so I was like, well, do I have to go? My parents aren't gonna make me. I can like choose to not go, and I can just like go on Sundays now instead of going every single day. And so, but like something was just like kind of just like urging me. It's like, how about we just go? Okay, like nothing. Like this is like the most familiar thing to me because nothing felt familiar like here at NAU. So I went to the mass, and I actually got there late. But I got there to the mass, and like the first thing like that happens, like I'm introduced like to the missionaries, and like I like introduced myself to Father Matt, and then I was like, well, I really like it, you know, like everyone's like really friendly. And then I just like go to the welcoming events, and just like start like getting to know people. And then I think that's when I first like actually like started building like community was at the new student retreat, where I met like Abel and Adam and Andrew and like everybody else. And like that's when like I really started realizing that like they have like the people here are just like me, that are like people who are my age, like who want to encounter the Lord. And I've like never experienced that like ever in my life before, because I don't think that like people like that I know like are all like Catholic or anything. Like now it's like all my friends are Catholic. So yeah, it all started like back in the first semester when they said like, well, we need lectors and we need like altar servers. And so I decided like just to say yes, just like say yes to lecturing. So it all just started with that. And then like later it just like turned into like people reaching out like, hey Chris, would you like to like volunteer during these events? And I was like, yes, I'd love to volunteer, because I feel like, this is like a home, so you kind of have to like give back to like your home, So, and like through volunteering that like I then started like doing more events like around here, and just like kind of just like always like just saying those yeses. And then like it turned to like saying yes to retreat, and like retreat was like such an amazing experience. And then it turned into like staffing for retreats, and then it turned into like saying yes to like evangelical Catholic, saying yes to discipleship, And then like all these yeses, like I feel like the Lord's just telling me like, Chris, like I want you to like know people like you've known me. Like, I want people to like know me the way you've known me. And so I think that like the Lord has called me to like help other people to like encounter him, to basically like go out and bear fruit. And so, you know, I decided to like do that by signing up for liturgy lead in order to just like basically like kind of like maintain like the home and everything. Just like to make sure that everyone like has an amazing experience as like I have, especially like with this like upcoming freshman. What it means to me is because when we pray, that is our relationship with God. But the Bible is like what God says to us. And I think it's so special that like you have the chance to be able to like read like what God has to say for us. And like especially because like there's like so much like knowledge and like that's like just enriched in the Bible. And everyone's like, oh well, like the Bible like it's old news. And like that's not true. Like the Bible like it's timeless. Unlike every like other piece of like literature that were written, like it's only like prevalent for a time. But like the Bible is just like absolutely timeless because like this is like God's like words to us. And like God is outside of time. It's like everything that's in the Bible is just like what God like has specifically chosen to be written in it. And so it's like so cool because it's timeless because God is like timeless. I'm definitely excited for just like being able to do that. Because I get to like work with like a lot of like amazing people and just like get to know them better, but also just like be able to like help lead the mass, if that makes sense. Because like I'll be like the one assigning the lectors, I'll be the one signing like the altar servers, like the people who are greeting and everything. And like I feel like it's kind of like preparing like the beast, if that makes sense, like getting the tables ready and everything and like getting the hosts. And I like that idea of just like I get to like be a part of that, being able to like make sure like everything is nice for everyone who's like coming in. So yeah, it was 3 a.m. on like a really cold day, and I was like going to a Greyhound bus in order to go back down to Phoenix. And it was just basically just like a bunch of people who were just like, you know, your typical Greyhound bus like station at 3 a.m. And like I was all alone, so, and this girl comes up to me and she's like, excuse me, but we have the same class together, right? I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, like we have a foundation of multicultural education together. I was like, yeah, I think. She's like, yeah, and like you're also like at the Newman Center. I was like, yeah, I am. And so like she introduces me to, and she introduces herself and like was like, then like later tells me like, yeah, I was praying that like someone would like be here like to help me to like be here like with me like at the bus stop, and like I think God was like pointing me to like to talk to you. I was like, oh, that's cool. And like I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, but I thought that was like kind of cool. And then you know like we just talked, and then like throughout our conversation, I just remembered that like retreat was coming up. So I was like, oh, would you like to go like on retreat? Because like she told me she was Catholic, but like not really like into it. And so she's like, yeah, I'll go on retreat. And so like she did end up going. And like now like I still like see her like going to like daily mass every now and then. I see that her life has like gotten like a lot, like has like changed like a lot differently. Like we're still keeping in touch and like she's doing great. So I just think that's like so cool how like the Lord was like able to like create that friendship through just like a random experience at like 3 a.m. in the morning on a random day just to go down to Phoenix.
Level of water you're at today?
Oh, I'm at like 12 p.m. even though it's 2 p.m. isn't it? I'm a little behind, but
okay, great.
That's an amazing water bottle.
Thank you.
Love that.
Cheers.
Stanley cups.
They're selling a Wallace at the open air market.
You have your wallet out? I mean, Stanley out?
Oh no.
I hear so many things about Stanley Cups and stuff.
Nothing negative, right?
No, it's mostly negative. It's only negative, actually.
I know, Natalie already told me.
So
you need to tell Father Matt.
Don't tell Father Matt.
He has a Stanley cup.
He does it purposefully. Like we were doing a live stream and he was like, "Let me take a drink of water," and he like took a Stanley. And immediately I saw a comment and I was like, "Stanley cup."
Yeah.
And then he told me after, he's like, "Yeah, I did that on purpose."
Yeah. He knows he gets people